Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Crypto Wall Street. My name is Charlie Klarsko. I'm originally from Denmark, used to be an investment advisor in Beverly Hills, California, and recently I started trading cryptocurrencies full-time, and I'm sharing my studies, my perspectives, and my research, all my experience that I'm getting from it with you here on YouTube so we can become better investors and make more money. That's at least why I'm doing it, because there's a lot of money to be made in this cryptocurrency world, and I'm sharing it with you here on this channel. Today we're going to talk about the world's first state-issued cryptocurrency, and it's issued by no other than Venezuela. A country that has not been doing too good financially over the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, the last 5 years has been the roughest ones for Venezuela in their lifetime. They see inflation rates, skyrockets. They've seen inflation rates last year of 3,300%. Absolutely insane. Their interest rates as well is double digit. Venezuela is really in deep troubles. Their hospitals are lacking supply, people are starving. According to multiple studies, 80% of the people are living under the poverty line, under the poverty requirements, or are qualifying as being living under the poverty conditions in the world. They are suffering. They do not have money for infrastructure or anything like that, so they have been in huge problems. Their income from the oil that they sell has been declining as well, so they've been in big troubles financially, economically over the last 5 years, and now they are issuing a cryptocurrency. And one of their huge problem is their inflation, as I mentioned before. It really is that people have, their life savings, their money they're earning is worth nothing. So imagine, for example, that you're living in Venezuela, you saved $100,000 for your retirement, prices increased 3,300%. So you can divide your $100,000 with 33. So now you're down to $3,000. That's what it's essentially worth now. So people are getting poorer and poorer. They do not have money for food or medicine. So because there's such an extreme inflation rate here, nothing is stable. So from day to day, when you go down to the store to do your local groceries or go and get gas, prices have increased 20-30%. So nothing is stable. They want stability, and that's why they're issuing the cryptocurrency, because they are pegging it to the price per oil barrel, which is roughly around $60 right now. That's what they're going to do to create some stability. Their main purpose with this coin is to the function of the coin is that the Venezuelans can pay their taxes with this cryptocurrency. It's called Petro, by the way. It's the Petro. So they can pay their taxes with it, they can pay social services, and they're encouraging all merchants in the country to start accepting it as well. The other important part of doing this for the Venezuelans is to have a savings instrument, because as you can figure out, if you have your money, you put it in the bank, and the inflation rate is just skyrocketing, and the interest rate is not as high as the inflation, you are losing money, a lot of money, from putting it into the bank and saving it. So no one wants to save money. No one is really saving. That's a huge problem for the government as well as for the people there. So the government is doing this so people can actually put the money into something stable, whether we have it, so it can work as a savings instrument for them. So it's very interesting. We're going to take a look at that right now and see how that looks. As we see here, the Venezuelan government is doing an Ethereum token sale to support its new cryptocurrency. The government released the Petro's white paper on Tuesday, as I mentioned here. As we talked about, Venezuela's economy is in deep trouble. To dig itself out, Tuesday the Venezuelan government unveiled its full plan for the Petro, which is the token name, a bespoke digital currency backed by the country's oil resources. So as I said, the Petro is going to be backed by Venezuela's oil per barrel, which is roughly $60. I really like the concept of that, now that Venezuela pointed out in their white paper as well that emerging countries do need some kind of raw material to peg their currency to. Now that the gold standard is off, Venezuela is trying to get out of trouble here by pegging their cryptocurrency to oil, the price per oil barrel here. And I really like that concept. It's a good idea to create some stability for the Venezuelans and to try to get their economy back on track for sure. Another thing I wanted to point out, this article here is from Motherboard, written by Jordan Pearson, and reading through this, you definitely notice that this guy has misunderstood something or does not know very much about cryptocurrencies. That's definitely sure here. I want to point this out here. So it says here, the idea seems to be that people will snap out tokens in order to trade them in for Petros later. No, that's not true. What people will do here, and this is something he read from the white paper, and I do agree the white paper is very confusing. I'll get to back that in a second. I don't even think the people who wrote the white paper know what they're talking about. Quite interesting, but that's not surprising. So we'll get back to that here shortly. But people are buying the pre-sale, they're buying the tokens, and that is the Petro. They're not trading that in for anything later. And then he says here, according to the white paper, the token pre-sale will start on March 1st. No, it's not true, because the white paper is right here. It's the updated version, and it's the version that he also read, because the article was from January 31st. This one was published January 30th. The white paper, so, and here it says February 20th is when the pre-sale starts. So this person has obviously not read the white paper thoroughly, and he's definitely confused about some concepts in the cryptocurrency world as well. So just wanted to point that out. This is an article from Motherboard. Don't buy everything you read here. It is extremely important to be critical when you take information and accept information, especially in the cryptocurrency world, because there's a lot of unregulated publishing companies doing articles and provides information. As I mentioned before, like the YouTube as well, you got to sort through a lot of noise, and this is not an exception here. One of the things here that is mentioned in the white paper as well, as this person mentions out too, is that the Venezuelan government will accept Petros as payment for things such as taxes, public services, and will provide financial incentives for merchants in the country to adopt the Petro. I really like that. That's a very nice thing. It gives the people what they're looking for, a mean of payment to pay the things, the regular things, the everyday things they need as well. So that is definitely a plus. I think that's kind of it what I want to point out on this one. Yes, it was. So let's take a look at Petro's website here. Very simple, very, straight to the point website. Petro is the first state-issued cryptocurrency. It is interesting. I really like it that an emerging country here is taking the step forward, start utilizing blockchain technology and starting their own cryptocurrency. The reason for it may be another, that what they're stating, they state that this is for, actually I'll mention that, we'll get to that here in a second. So it says here, the Petro will be backed by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the wealth of its large crude oil reserves. That's true that you have a very large reserve of oil, one of the largest in the world, because there's a lot of oil down by Venezuela, which is really what's been driving the country and making it run, because that's kind of their own income source. Let's see here what they're saying. Else, why the Petro? They're being very honest here, I think. During the last 4 years, Venezuela has experienced the biggest financial crisis in history, a situation that has resulted in a devaluation of its national currency, Bolivia. Excuse me if I mispronounced it wrong. That, Bolivia. I don't know how that's pronounced. So really what they're trying to do is bringing power closer to the citizens. I do not buy that. Corruption is probably at the highest level in Venezuela, or at least they are amongst the highest level of corruption. So bringing power closer, I don't really buy that. I do like the idea still best, though, of having a cryptocurrency for the country. Let's see here. The Petro will be the foundation of a policy, to promote development, infrastructure, and training of young people in electronic mining, coding, cryptography, network security, and economics that will enable the exploration of Venezuela and other developing countries' most valuable assets in the world of transparency, blah, 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 etc., etc. I like that concept of bringing it to Venezuela and getting it closer to people, and hopefully start educating people on it so they can start utilizing that. That is definitely something I'm a big fan of, for sure. I'll remove that. I don't know why that comes up. So that's interesting. So before getting into the white paper, let me just show you something here. This is an article from December last year, so not a long time ago, where it talks about how bad things are in Venezuela because of the inflation. It's, as we see here, going to the store, do your groceries, prices increase 20-30% overnight. So imagine you had to go through that. It's hard to get anything to work there. I want to show something down here. here we go. There's, a line to get in food. And as we see here, let's see, here we go. Let's see if I can find it. It says something about the inflation. It was here somewhere. That in 2017, the inflation was 300%. So I wanted to show that I pointed out earlier. So again, it's a problem in Venezuela just to get food here, and the country is really suffering when people aren't able to have access to food. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is by midnight in Venezuela. People are standing in line to just get some flour here. I'm pretty sure they are in line for, and it is just unbelievable to see that they do not have access to that. So that's incredible. So the country is definitely suffering. Just to check that this is a valid story, I checked other websites as well. Here's Cointelegraph talking about Venezuela, says crypto mining now perfectly legal. Talks about the pre-sale of the Petro as well. Quite interesting. Venezuela here on CNBC. Says the Petro currency on February 20 starts. We talked about that. Also on Bloomberg here. Oh yeah, here, so according to Bloomberg, the initial round of sales will give about 40% bonus for institutional investors, and later on there will be discounts as high as 60% for early buyers. I did not see that in the white paper when I read through it, so I don't know about that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're offering outrageous discounts or, bonuses here to sell their coin because they are in need of money, and issuing a cryptocurrency is definitely a way of funding or like getting money to the country. And there's also another article here talking about that's Fortune. That's actually, let's see here, warning investors to avoid Venezuela's Petro cryptocurrency because they say it is just a way for Venezuela to issue another form of government bonds, a way of funding the country, so getting money into the country because they are in need of a lot of money. So they simply say that U.S. Treasury said Tuesday that Venezuela's Petro could put U.S. citizens at legal risk because investing in the cryptocurrency potentially conflicts with U.S. sanctions against the South American country. I don't really know how you should take that. I think I'll just leave it. If I was an American, I was going to invest in it. But just to point it out for you, for sure. So looking at the white paper here, let's go to the top. There's a few things to point out. It is a very confusing white paper. It is one of the most confusing white papers I've seen. It's not that it doesn't express that people haven't put work and effort into it. It just seems like the people who's been doing this is not aware of what they're actually doing. There's confusion between the tokens and use of blockchain and Ethereum. It's all mixed together. It could be that this has been translated, so it's lost in translation. That is a very valid reason for the confusion here, for sure. But I would think that when the country is issuing a cryptocurrency, that it would make sure that even the English version, which is the world language, is up to date and is 100% clear to go through and read. But there's a lot of introduction about why they do it, why they need the Petro. As a background here, as they say, due to the imposition of US dollar as the international backed currency and the subsequent replacement of the gold standard with the fiduciary model, the world economy has suffered from uncertainty and instability caused by the foundation in a currency without a gold backing, which has been particularly harmful to emerging countries. So they're, blaming everyone else for their bad economy. That it's not surprising for Venezuela to do that. There's a lot of stuff about why they need it, etc., etc. Talking about the blockchain, what blockchain is. I haven't read through that part because I skimmed it quickly. That was a little confusing. As I said, it is not the most clear white paper. Here's the holdings of oil barrels in the world. Not sure why they brought that in. They also point out some prices. Not sure why they brought in that either. I see what they mean with, but I don't see the reason of putting it into their white paper at all. You know, they write something interesting here. Petro is a much more ambitious project than other digital convertible currencies such as the Digix gold-backed and the Tether backed in dollars, because it opens the opportunity for using of other assets. Excuse me, apologize for that. For using other assets to back up the currency. I don't know how the Petro is more ambitious than the other projects just because it's backed by oil by their country than, for example, Digix or Tether, but I'll leave that. Here's something interesting as well. You know, they write Petro is a sovereign crypto asset backed by oil. I don't know if it's going to be sovereign. You know, it sounds like, you know, some of the things they're writing here is a little arrogant. I think it sounds like, you know, they are going to be the #1 cryptocurrency in the world. That may be me. That's how I read it. Its launch will spearhead the promotion of an independent, transparent digital economy open to direct citizen participation, which will serve as a platform for the development of crypto asset innovation in Venezuela and other emerging countries with great potential. That sounds pretty good. You know, it's a good intention. The instrument will foster the emergence of a fair, more collaborative global financial system that is conducive to growth, autonomy, and trade among developing economies, primarily those on raw materials. It sounds very good. I kind of think it falls through when they're one of the most corrupted governments in the world, that they're like, oh, now we're having this. Excuse me for that. I apologize. I'll fix that for next video. The instrument will foster the emergence of a fair, more collaborative global financial system. You know what? Kind of feel you should stay away from that when you are having issues with even running your country. That's my opinion here. So they point out, as we mentioned before, they are using the Petro here as a means of exchange, digital platform, and also a savings instrument, as I mentioned. Let's see here, the pre-sale, that's the 20th as a set. Yeah, so here's some confusion as well. They say the pre-sale will start on February 20th and will consist of the creation and sale of an ERC20 token on the blockchain Ethereum platform. Okay, so whoever wrote this doesn't really understand that the ERC20 is the compliances to actually run on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's kind of confusing here. I don't think the person writing this actually understands what it is at all. So, and also it says here, it just explains what I just said. You know, the tokens that meet the requirements of the ERC20 standard are non-mineable, blah, blah, blah. The token will not be part of the Petro network until it's redeemed or burned during the initial offer process. So reading through this white paper here, you know, initially it seems like they're issuing Petro, which is their token here, based on the Ethereum platform because it's an ERC20 token. But it seems like they think that they are using their own blockchain to trade it on and to use that. And they also mentioned somewhere else that they want to use blockchain to store public records and public information. Public records for citizens and information, etc., like that. But that's not what they are writing in here. You know, they write a bit of both, so it is pretty confusing what they're trying to do if they're building their own blockchain, which in some ways I think they think they're doing, but in other ways, and also the articles, it seems like they're actually just building their token on top of the ERC20, the Ethereum blockchain. And they, you know, they also call it an intelligent Ethereum contract. It is a smart contract. You know, I don't get the impression that the people who made this white paper here actually do understand what the heck they're talking about, what they are doing. I'm actually not sure that the Petro is coming out. It is for sure. It is backed by the gold, but it is unclear what it is. You know, if they are building their own blockchain, which it seems in some ways they are trying to do, and other ways, you know, they said they're doing the pre-sale the token on the Ethereum blockchain. So pretty confusing to deal with. So I'm very excited. It's the government the governments are finally accepting cryptocurrencies. Such a beautiful thing, right? Or the Venezuelan government maybe just thought a chance here to get some more money into the country as well and try to attempt to make the citizens happy by promoting that this coin will create stability. I hope it will. The country definitely needs it, and I kind of think I'm optimistic. I think this system will create stability for them. Whether or not it's going to be accepted by the citizens as a payment, so you can exchange it and hold it as a saving and as a saving instrument, and also for the merchants to start accepting it. I hope they will, because the country needs it. But as I said, we'll see if that falls through or it's actually going to succeed. But I think it's a great indicator that the country is starting it for a lot of other countries in the world, instead of just being pushy about it and being skeptical and push it away and not accepting it. It is very good. And that's all I had for you today. If you haven't already signed up, make sure you're signed up for my monthly newsletter report, investment report. There is a link below this video here. There's also a link to my Twitter and Facebook account where I publish articles and news and stuff about the market trends, and etc., which is in the report as well. There is ICO recommendations, market trends, coin recommendations, a lot of valuable stuff to you. You can become a better investor and make more money in this, because that's why I'm here, and I think that's why you're here as well.